fusion of jazz, fusion of African rhythm, the typical African, rhythm. So we're going to be talking about jazz now. So I have jazz, not juju, jazz, that's music. So I have Ayo Sadare here with me in the studio, who actually is a passionate promoter of jazz music. Ayo, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, what is it about jazz? What is it about the music?
The music for me is relaxing. It's mature. It's soothing. It's freedom. Jazz has always been related to freedom music. Remember when it was the Africans that took jazz to the United States, part of the slavery. Different Africans came, and the only way they could communicate was, people come from West Africa, different dialects then, but in the plantation fields, they didn't understand their language. But the only thing they could understand was the aspect of singing together. Singing is universal. And then they took it from the plantation there and evolved, because with jazz you also had what you call the Negro spirituals. And then there was the blues. And then everything just evolved, and they had to find a word for it. Jazz. It was actually J-A-S-S. But
initially.
Yes. So it's like, what is that? They're singing it's jazz. You understand? And a lot of it was with the singing. Of course, instruments came in. And then it evolved after the slave times, abolition of the slave trade. And it's actually black music.
Yeah, I was going to come to that. Because again, I know it's, well, exponentially, yeah, you should probably say it's black. But some other ethnic groupings are not buying into it.
They will, because I believe that's Africa's export, initial musical export to the world. Africa's initial export to the world by default.
Yes, but it came from the back of
slavery, and then it found itself in the cotton fields, and then it was a song of freedom, because in the 40s, after the World War, jazz became the freedom music. That's what they were playing to the soldiers, so it was exported.
But back home here, jazz is seen like classical music.
Well, it's seen like perhaps elitist music, but then I always say jazz is not what it used to be. Because you can't stand still in time. Everything evolves.
With time,
so with what people call jazz being classical music or elitist music is actually trad jazz, traditional jazz, that swing, bebop, and those were played by the masters. People like Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Mingus, yes, Louis Armstrong, Cannonball Adderley, Wayne Shorter, and people like that. But see, over the years, because jazz is freedom and it allows a lot of other music to blend.
Get into it.
Yes. It's like a bed that I wish some of my other friends here who really know. I mean, I call them professors, people like Biodo Batik and Bright, who would explain the real meaning. And so it allowed other music. So you have smooth jazz, acid jazz, you have Latin jazz, you have Afro jazz. So it's like a bed that a lot of people can come on and ride on.
Yeah, okay. All right, but so what are we going to be doing here in Nigeria to get our own younger generation to begin to buy into this? I mean, because everybody's gone hip hop.
Well, they say, you see, you can say everybody. The reason hip hop. Now, I don't have anything about hip hop. I started with hip hop. When I say I started, I listened to it, I enjoyed it. We did the breakdance thing.
Yeah.
But you cannot keep feeding people the same diet. You can't be eating a bowl rice or spaghetti or whatever. There's a variety of music like you have abroad. You have country, you have rock, you have hip hop, you have jazz, you have soul and everything. But here we seem to have one kind of music being promoted. And I suppose that came from policies in the past that had distributed, because the record labels that promoted musicians like you were playing, Orlando Julius, musicians like King Sonny at the Island Records, musicians like Victor Laya, Victor Waifu, Ceylon, those companies after a while in Nigeria folded up. So I actually commend the guys who are doing hip hop, because they went in there and dug deep, and from their own selves they found something and promoted it without any help. The music of before was with a lot of help. You had government funding, you know, you understand, you had record labels.
Yes.
You know, we had Decca, EMI, Phonodisc, puts in, but then everything went. And so the guys had to just, because his creativity, his talent is God-given, it has to be expressed. And the only way it could find its own expression, in my own take, was to find this music and the influence that came. So they had to run with that. So I just see it as a point that, well, it's, people see like it's a fight, hip hop. No, it's going to evolve also
with time.
Yes, people are going. We are doing some work in that area. Some other people, like 4 or 5 years ago, you didn't have any jazz festival.
Okay, so let's come to jazz festival. So what is Naijazz? What's
Naijazz?
Naijazz. Yes. What's that?
Well, it's Nigerian Jazz Project. Is our baby. It's something that we're working about. It's in one word, it's restoring and redefining Nigerian music to its glorious position. I'll just give you a quick word. If you call, I believe that we are having an identity crisis
right now
in our music, and it's not derogatory. It's not to speak to anybody, but you see, if you say a musician like Salif Keita or Zonke or Yusuf Ndo, Oliver Matukudzi, Victor Deme, you can identify the country they come from.
Even Hugh Masekela.
Yes, Hugh Masekela, late Miriam Makeba, Kayafa Semania, they all have an identity.
With the music.
Yes, they sing with their native tongue. King Sonny Ade, Orlando Julius. Yeah. Do you understand? Yeah. But you come back here and we're aping. We're aping music. And we're not promoting the indigenous sounds. Angela Kijo, Manu Debango, Salif Keita, Musa, they're winning Grammys with singing in their own native tongue. Now, the people that have nearly won Grammys are the people who have sung in our, people like
Fela,
Femi Kuti.
Yes.
People like Asha, they would consider.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
But the rest, they would shout, scream, they're big here. But on a global scale, how they rate it, we're going nowhere with that music. Let's be honest.
But okay, so what would the festival be doing there for?
Well, the Naijazz Festival will be like we've been doing with other things. We'll be promoting indigenous, authentic Nigerian music in a contemporary format. That means that it's not going to be as boring or elitist as you said.
People think. Okay, is it possible if my producer has a clip that we can look at of what? Oh, okay. We're not watching. Okay, who's that?
That's Dr. Bankole.
Okay, all right.
Yes, so that was at the well, actually, this was one of the programs that we had. The Tale of Two African Cities. This was the jazz night.
Okay.
Dr. is a saxophonist and he's a jazz. He's a musician, accomplished musician, but what I like about him, he's from Badagry and the Awori. If you listen to the music, you can feel the Badagry influence.
Influence in it.
Yes, you can feel. People like Dr. Bankole, you can feel. People like Bright Gade. He's Isoko. Yeah. He's the best bassist in West Africa. And you can feel his influence in that.
Okay. So, when are we going to be having this? When is this?
Well, the Naijazz Festival is towards the end of the year.
Okay.
But we'll have other festivals we're going, like, because we do Muzon Jazz Festival. So, yes, we're doing the Abuja International Jazz. So we are creating platforms that we can put this kind of musicians who play jazz and jazz-related music on. So that's so we have till the end of the year about 4 or 5.
All right. So that's been Ayo Sadare talking about jazz. Jazz is ours, so you better get ready. Don't just be shaking your so those hip hops alone. Let's come and hear some good sane music. Okay, yes. All right. So Ayo, thank you very much for coming on the show. We are still on to City Lace and